Greetings and good day to all presenters and listeners. Today, our group will be presenting our research on the effects of social media on grammar competence among undergraduates in Universiti Tunku Abdul. The researchers of this study are Aizuri, binti Azmin, Miss Bharathi Mutty, Miss Ranjini Kunalan from the Faculty of Art and Social Science, Universiti Tunku Abdul, Kampar, Malaysia. Now I will start on with the introduction of our study. Well, first and foremost, social media is the most popular platform for communication in the 21st century. Social media has been developed as a complex communication tool that contains hundreds of unique features to fulfill one ultimate purpose for its users, which is to establish connection among every human. English is the most common language used amongst most of the social media users. English helps the users to establish a channel of communication for users from every part of the world. When users tend to quicken this mean of communication, which is the computer-mediated communication, also known as CMC, internet slangs were introduced and widely used by social media users. Although the usage of internet slangs is undoubtedly useful and convenient, the effects of the internet slangs towards the grammar competence of its users have remained unquestioned. On the other hand, the criticisms regarding the overall proficiency of English language among the undergraduates of Universiti Tunku Abdul have been an issue that cannot be overlooked. Studies have suggested that the time spent on social media is strongly bonded with the development of English proficiency of its users. Therefore, social media can be the reason behind the incompetence of Utah undergraduates in terms of their English language proficiency. Since majority of the Utah undergraduates are active users of social media, the constant usage of social media also leads to a significant influence on the grammar competence of its undergraduates. Hence, which is why we would like to conduct a research to see the effect of social media on the undergraduates' grammar competence. Next, I will move on to the problem statement of our study. What are the problems in the incorrect usage of language on social media? As per the study done by Mahmoud 2014, in his study, it was stated that the incorrect usage of grammar while writing on social media compromises the grammar competence of its users, and this leads to a domino effect of an incorrect grammar and vocabulary usage. As an undergraduate at Utah, slangs are frequently used in daily communication with undergraduates with other undergraduates on social media. This leads to a familiarization of social media language, which affects the grammar competence among undergraduates unconsciously, also in their formal writings. Okay. Now, internet slangs are a set of text and chat abbreviations which is used to ease a communication process. Slangs was originated in the early days of the internet, where changes in grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and spelling are allowed in online communication. Some of the common internet slangs, such as lol, okay, so as what you can see here, laugh out loud, RN, right now, GR8, which means great, and so on, are now part of English language used on social media. Studies have also showed their concerns that the English proficiency of social media users might decline dramatically when excessive usage of internet slangs are used in formal settings, such as using them in business and education settings. Due to the familiarization of the internet slangs, undergraduates might tend to misuse these slangs during the process of formal writing. According to Hack 2018, undergraduates become comfortable to write the slangs in their formal reports and examinations, which ultimately cause their grammar competence to drop. In addition, Hamad and Hassan 2019 mentioned that social media is a powerful tool that can bring both positive and negative impacts to the undergraduates in terms of English language proficiency when it is used for pedagogical purposes. Now, in summary, the familiarization of the usage of internet slangs on social media and its effect on grammar competence among Utah undergraduates are established as the topic of study in this research. The effects of social media and internet slangs, which can be either beneficial or harmful towards the development of grammar competence among the undergraduates who are currently studying at Utah, is still unknown. Hence, this research aims to study the effect of social media on Utah undergraduates' language competency and what is the connection between these two factors. Now we will look at the research objectives and research questions. There are three objectives in this study. The first one would be to investigate the frequency of social media usage among Utah undergraduates. Secondly, to investigate the grammar competence of Utah undergraduates to identification of internet slangs. The last one would be to investigate the perceptions of Utah undergraduates on social media and grammar competence. Our research questions are as follows. What is the frequency of social media usage among Utah undergraduates? How accurate are the Utah undergraduates in terms of identifying internet slangs based on their grammar competence? What are the perception of Utah undergraduates on social media grammar competence? Moving on, I will talk about the significance of our research. There are barely enough evidences to indicate whether social media is beneficial or harmful towards the development of grammar competence among the Malaysian undergraduates. This research can support Utah in achieving one of its missions, which is to maintain a strong undergraduate program which encourages the intellectual and personal development of students and responses to professional and community needs. In current Malaysian society, undergraduates who have excellent amount of knowledge and communication skills are more favored by employers from international corporations where they are applying for a decent job when they are graduated. Unfortunately, the lack of grammar competence causes a huge challenge for the Utah undergraduates to communicate fluently in English. This research can be served as a reference for the educators to guide the undergraduates in fulfilling the crucial requirements in the future. Moreover, this research can help to shed some light on the effects of social media on Utah undergraduates and also the undergraduates from other universities in Malaysia as well. The study done by Mahmood 2014 explained the importance of social media in affecting the language proficiency among undergraduates can be rendered as a framework for other studies. This research, hence, can be useful to assist future researchers with similar topics of study and help future researchers to generate more relevant and reliable results. With that, I would like to proceed with the next part of the presentation. Thank you.
There were previous studies discovered to highlight and discuss some relevant issues pertaining to this research. Now let's look at on the insights to the issues related to the research. As we know, in the 21st century, social media and technology play an important role in the learning process among tertiary education settings, especially among college and universities. Social media has shaped the channel of communications among college and universities. The university undergraduates use social media to share information with their friends and communicate with lecturers and tutors about academic issues on a daily basis. Social media is one of the technologies that has been recently integrated into the field of education to cater the requirements of a modernized teaching and learning experience. Furthermore, English is the language used by the undergraduates to communicate with each other, as English can be understood by nearly all undergraduates. To quicken the means of communication, internet slangs are introduced on social media, and it is frequently used by the undergraduates up to this time. There is a need for us to understand about social media and how it is defined. Social media is defined as the web-based services that are developed for three main purposes. Firstly, to create a user profile within the social media system. Secondly, to present a complete list of users whom they share similarities with the users. Thirdly, to connect and communicate with other users through social media. Social media is a unique way for people to communicate, as it allows the users to express and show their opinions in their social networks, which are visible to other users. The users can use social media to communicate with the people who have always been a part of their existing social network, or look for new connections who share similar topics of interest to extend their social network. Some social media are also designed to introduce the users into homogeneous groups based on their nationality, location, age, and other common factors in a society. The use of group chat on social media as an educational tool for universities have become increasingly common, as educators and undergraduates can instantly communicate with each other without requiring face-to-face meeting. English has become the predominant language for online communication on social media, and it has implicitly contributed towards the development of the academic performance, English proficiency, and grammar competence among the undergraduates. Furthermore, if we study about the social media and its implications on education, there might be a lot of them that we could discuss. As social media users are spending more time on social media for purposes other than education, the implication of social media towards the grammar competence of its users has become a noteworthy issue in academic studies. Social media has become a major factor in influencing the academic performance and English proficiency of Malaysian undergraduates, since the new generations of undergraduates spend a great deal of time on social media for education, entertainment, and other purposes. Unlike real-life conversations, the communication on social media ignores the formalities of language and allows the misuse of grammar and abbreviated words. Although social media benefits the undergraduates as a source of communication between them and their lecturers, the addiction and over-participation of undergraduates can bring negative impacts to their grammar competence, since they are focusing more time to write and communicate without checking through their usage of grammar. As we have understood the impacts that social media may bring to second language learning, especially toward grammar competence, hence it is imperative to see that social media play its important role in education. Rahmi, Othman, Yusuf, and Musa in 2015 mentioned that social media is an extremely influential tool that can be used to create value and reinforce academic expectations for language learning. Cook also mentioned that social media is a great platform that can motivate its users in second language learning, as the content on social media are constantly interchanging.
Let me continue with the methodology part for this research. This research was conducted mainly using questionnaire, and this questionnaire was divided into 4 sections. The first section was demographic details that collected the information about the participants, And the second section tested on the frequency of social media usage among the participants who were undergraduates in a private university. And the third section focused on the grammatical competence of these participants. And the fourth section was testing their perception regarding the connection between social media usage and also the grammatical competence of these social media users. These four sections were condensed into a Google Forms survey, and it was distributed to 150 participants via Google Link. And these 150 participants were identified via convenience sampling method, and all these participants came and answered the questionnaire based on voluntarily. They could withdraw whenever they wanted to, and we are happy to inform that none of them withdrew. They answered the questions and submitted all. Based on the distributed questionnaire, we analyzed the data given, and this is what we got. This is the chart showing the proficiency of these participants who undertook the survey. And we had majority of competent and proficient participants. So these are from middle to upper intermediate level. Very few expert users, and these expert ones are actually from language programs. So the majority were from intermediate position. When questioned about the platform used for their social media, majority of them chose Facebook, followed closely by WhatsApp, and the others took the backseat compared to these two platforms. And Facebook was very heavily used. That means they were dealing with written form of messages quite frequently compared to the picture posting messages most of the time. When it comes to language usage, mostly they focused on using English, which was highly related to the research conducted. The questionnaire tested on the accuracy of the participants identifying the internet language, the internet slang used in social media, and the report we got based on the survey was that yes, they managed to identify. They knew this was the slang used in internet platforms compared to the formal written platforms. And this is one of the examples, which is justified by another example where they could identify which was the internet slang that was present in the language given to them, the stimuli given to them in the questionnaire. When we attempted to find out the frequency of their usage in conversations using internet slang, mostly they say never, they would not use it in conversations. Only when go to internet platforms, when they are speaking face to face or even on phone verbally, they will never say LOL in order to laugh out loud. They just laugh it out. Yeah, they will just demonstrate the laughing. They would not find any occasion to demonstrate internet language in there. This is the this is the chart that shows their perception regarding the effect of internet language or internet slang on the grammatical competence of the social media users who were also undergraduates in a private university. Surprisingly, although these were heavy users, they all, most of them, the majority of them reported that internet slang had disadvantageous effect on the users. And that analysis brings us to the current discussion. So based on the data and the analysis of the data, we know that the participants are very aware of the internet slang. They could differentiate which one is academically acceptable and which one is not, which one belongs to the social platform alone. But then, although they are aware, they know that using internet slang in social media somehow transfers negative effects to their academic life most of the time, because it somehow affects their grammatical competence very negatively. When grammar competence is compromised, their academic performance, especially in written form, is also compromised. That was what we found. in this research. So when we wanted to identify the main problem occurred because they had quite a long exposure to media consumption compared to the formal language. The balance between the internet language and the formal language is not found. They spend more time using or expose themselves to internet language compared to the formal language. Because of that, we came up with two suggestions, and one of the suggestions is that the users need to regulate their time when it comes to media consumption, so that when they are in social media platform, they curb themselves to a certain time so that the exposure can be limited. Another one is trying to avoid the internet language uh, from being used very heavily. Rather than putting internet slang in every sentence, trying to stick to the formal traditional way of full form language would lend them more credibility and increase their grammatical competence compared to sticking to internet language and following the current. Of course, these suggestions are not set in stone and they are not tested yet. These are just suggestions from the researchers.